Hello and welcome to today's video. If this is your first time here, I'm Ashley, and if it's not your first time here, well then welcome back. You guys, it is so ugly outside. Ugh, I just had to get it off my chest because I'm literally sitting in front of a window looking at the just ugliest sky. Okay, let's be positive. Let's be positive. So I came to the very difficult decision this week that I am not going to do an October favorites video. It is the first month since I started YouTube that I have not done a monthly favorites. But hear me out. I just did my fall favorites a couple weeks ago, and then last week I did my Sephora holiday sale recommendations. And so I feel like I've just been sitting here talking about recommending products several times in the last month. So it just felt silly to sit down and do that again. So rather than sit here and list off a bunch of favorites, I decided to sit down, do my makeup, and show you guys in action some of my older favorites as well as some of my newer favorites. Most of these products you've heard me talk about, but some of them you may not have seen me actually use them. So I wanted to just sit down and show you how I use some of my favorites, old and new. So if you want to see how I apply some of my very favorite products, you're going to see some swatches too, then just keep watching. All right, we're up close and personal now. I'm going to pin my hair back. These are an old favorite, these little clippies, but these are new ones. I just got a new color scheme of them because it's been forever since I got new ones. And I love that these came in yellow and blue and some of my favorite colors. So I decided to pick up some new ones. Starting off with primer, I'm actually going to use two. I'm going to use an old favorite as well as a new favorite. The old favorite is the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas. I was in love with this back in the spring, and I'm going to put that right here on kind of my nose and right along here where I have a little bit of texture usually, or just my pores tend to be bigger there. And then for the rest of my face, I'm going to use the, ooh, I almost dropped it, the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Primer. I absolutely love this primer so much. It is just really hydrating, and it looks really beautiful under the foundation I'm going to be using. So I'm going to use that on the rest of my face. Now for foundation, I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder. This is, I would say, a new-ish favorite. I first started trying this back in July when I did my full face of Charlotte Tilbury video. And I liked it, but I didn't really fully appreciate it, I think, until we got into fall. What I really like about it is that for me, the finish is not as dewy as what I normally go for. I mean, honestly, this is definitely a radiant skin finish, but it's a little less radiant than a Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk or the Estee Lauder Futurist, or Futurist, Hydra Futurist. It's a little bit less radiant than that. So what I like is it just looks very skin-like. I feel like this foundation is just the perfect balance of perfecting my skin tone and kind of evening everything out, but still looking very much like my skin. It is such a beautiful foundation if you like a more natural makeup look, which I tend to. I mean, even when I do, put a lot of eyeshadow on or do a smoky eye, I still tend to gravitate towards more of a natural finish. I just like for my skin to look like skin, and this is such a good foundation for that. I will say too, if you don't like a very radiant finish, I feel like this looks very just straight up skin-like when it's applied with a sponge and not using a radiant primer. Today I'm using a radiant primer on the outside of my face, so it looks even more radiant than it does without that primer, which is why, honestly, I think why I love this Armani Luminous Silk Primer so much is I just think it looks so beautiful with this Light Wonder foundation. I like a more radiant finish, so I always apply it with a brush. I find that to be the best application for me is a brush. And today I'm using the BK Beauty. This is a 101 brush. It's the one that's kind of got the angle. This is my favorite foundation brush for this foundation. I think it's funny, every foundation I have a different way I like applying it. my Armani Luminous Silk, which is my holy grail foundation. I like applying it with a sponge. Like, that's how I like it. I don't tend to use a brush to apply it very much. This one, I love the way it looks with a brush. I think it's just so beautiful. For reference, I am the shade 3 Fair in this foundation. Oh my gosh. Just look how pretty that is. I mean, it's my skin. You can see my freckles still, but it's just better. It's my skin, but better. All right, for concealer, I'm going to be using a newer favorite. I actually talked about this in my September favorites video. This is the Benefit Boi-ing concealer. I wear the shade number 3. I absolutely love this concealer. I really compare it a lot to my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which is my holy grail. If you like the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, I think you'll really like this. It doesn't crease up on you. It doesn't really dry out, and it's a little bit thinner of a consistency, I think. So I think it's something that, you know, you may like. If you're, you know, in love with your NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, it's probably worth a try. It's just, I really like it. And this shade number 3 is really good for me. I find that it's still bright enough even when my self-tanner starts to wear out. I'm someone who self-tans. I've talked about this before. I self-tan pretty much year-round because I am, without self-tanner, I am the palest shade in every foundation. Not even kidding. I have like basically no pigment whatsoever. Actually, I think that's funny. Like, I was talking to my mom recently about my skin tone, about like how hard it is for me sometimes to tell, like, am I warm, am I cool? And really I'm like a neutral. I think I fall into like a cool category. I don't know if you know anything about like the different like seasons they give people. I think I'm one of the summers, but I'm the one that like borders on an autumn, which is a warm. So I don't know, my skin just, it just seems to be pretty neutral. So I can kind of get away with going both ways, but the whole moral of this story is my mom was saying, yeah, you're neutral because you really don't have like any pigment whatsoever. So yeah, woe is me story. All right, I'm gonna set that with a favorite that I've talked about a lot on this channel. It is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder from Charlotte Tilbury. You can tell it's a favorite because I have literally hit pan. You guys, that does not happen to me. It is so rare for me to hit pan on something because I mean, I have always been someone who likes, you know, I like makeup. I like trying new makeup. I've always liked trying new makeup. So it's really rare for me to hit pan on things. Like, I mean, I do, just not everything. Like, I mean, if I hit pan on something, it means I really like it, because if I don't like a product, I will not keep subjecting myself to having to use it. So for brows, I am going to go in with the Dior Show Brow Styler and the 24-Hour Brow Setter from Benefit. These are like my 2 favorite brow products that I have found. I found these like at the beginning of the year, and I have been loving them ever since. I actually ended up picking up the Dior Brow Styler because Alana Davison used it, and I trust her so implicitly. So this was something that I had wanted because I saw her using it, and I really, it's my new all-time favorite brow pencil. It's such a fine tip, so I can get these nice, like, very natural brow strokes in my hair, natural hair strokes in my brow. And for me, I'm someone who just like to do my brows. I just like to like fill them in a little bit so they, you know, don't look as patchy. I have kind of wiry, like fine, wiry, thin little like crazy brow hairs that grow really long. They just don't grow as thick as I wish they did. Like, I wish there were more like little hairs in there. I feel like there's a lot. It's just that my hair is very fine. Even like my head on my hair is very fine. So this is just really good for me because honestly, like a lot of times like powder products and pomades and things like that and like thicker brow pencils, they don't work as well for me because they don't mimic the way that my hair like naturally grows, because again, it's a lot of very fine little wispy brow hairs going on in there. So, you know, if I have like a thicker pencil, it's not gonna draw on in a way that's, you know, remotely similar to my brows. And then the 24-hour brow center, I absolutely love this. It just holds my brows in place. And I generally, there's two sides to this. Like you can see on the top, there's like a shorter side of bristles. And then on the bottom right now, the bristles are longer. So I generally, like, I don't even know. It just depends on the day. But I usually take the longer side to do my inside brows and just sweep them up so that they're like a little bit pointed up at the front. And then as I get down to the sides, like I would say like right about around my arch, I start sweeping everything to the side more. A little bit up still, but kind of more like a diagonal almost, just so that they stay kind of in place. Because again, they're very fine and kind of wispy, wiry. So for me, I need a little bit of help getting them to stay where they're supposed to stay. All right, I already have a little bit of concealer on my lids. I'm going to put a little bit of the Airbrush Flawless Filter Powder all over my lid from lash line up to brow bone to prime. That's just the way I always prime my eyes. That's kind of an old favorite, if you will, because I think I've done that for as long as I can remember. It's just the only way that I feel my shadows glide well and they don't like stick to skin, you know, or primer even. Even if I use like a regular eyeshadow primer, or like in this case I used a concealer, I still always put on translucent powder, just because then I don't have to worry about the shadows sticking to anything. So I'm gonna be using an old favorite for my eyeshadow. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Quad. This is just like an absolute classic. I've talked about this palette before. When I first got this palette, I mean, it was nothing to write home about, in my opinion. I wasn't like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I love this so much. Like, I just thought, wow, I don't like this palette at all. These colors are not very pigmented. And that's the thing. They are true to color, but you're definitely getting like more of like a buildable wash of color that you can then build up. So I kind of, at first, when I first got this, didn't realize like, oh, that's kind of just the formula of these shadows. I think I had kind of been spoiled by, you know, watching so many YouTube videos, especially at the time, this was a couple years ago that I picked this up, that really like had kind of conditioned us to be like, the more pigmented, the better. Like it should be, you know, the first stroke should be exactly like it looks in the pan. And, you know, I have just found that is not, it's just not my style. I want things to be pigmented, yes, but I want a balance between pigmentation and buildability. Like I don't want to go in from this shade and immediately it's, you know, this color just opaque as opaque can be, because that's not going to blend out as well and it's not going to look as natural. And again, 90% of the time I'm going for something that's a little more, you know, on the natural side. Even, I mean, you know, that's such a like controversial thing to say sometimes, but, and I get it, like there's makeup, so it's not like, you know, no makeup. I just mean natural, not like too, you know, done up. So yeah, I honestly did not like this palette at first. I was like, I don't know why people are raving about this. And then you know, I don't know, it grew on me. I'm not even sure how it grew on me. I think what happened is I watched enough people on YouTube use this quad in a way that I thought was very like pretty, that it was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe my philosophy on this is a little skewed. And also I had a child, so I think that too made me feel like a lot more like, I don't know, like almost like feminine. And I started going more for like natural, pretty, like, ooh, princess makeup, you know? I don't know. I feel like it's the weirdest thing. I don't know. When I got pregnant, I used to not like flowers. I now have, there's a flower like that. Those are real flowers over there. I don't know if it'll focus on them. There's like a flower bouquet there. There's a flower bouquet in my office. There's a flower bouquet in my kitchen. Like I have fresh flowers everywhere in my home. I love flowers so much now. And like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would spend what I spend on flowers weekly, I would think I'd be like, you're full of crap. There's no way I'm spending my money on flowers. But again, it's just this thing that I don't know, it just shifted. It's odd. Like you get older and you're like, oh yeah, I like that now. It's funny. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to grow and have different interests. It's not a big deal. Now, I'm going to actually use, I really love this palette, but I'm going to use another favorite over this. This is the, I always like have the hardest time at the shades because they're the same in every quad. This is the enhanced shade. I don't know why I can't remember that. So I put the enhanced shade on my lids and it's a nice like light shimmer, but I want like some extra shimmer today. So I'm going in with another older favorite. This is one that I discovered back in the spring, like early spring. This is the Victoria Beckham Lid Lustre in the shade Blonde. If you guys weren't like around at the very beginning of my channel, you've probably not seen this. Oh my gosh, which I was awkward back then, so it's okay. You would be forgiven for not watching some of those old awkward videos. But you can see this is just the most beautiful, look at that, like that luster. It's gorgeous. So this is the shade Blonde, and I'm gonna pack a little bit of that on my lid. I think I'm just gonna use my finger just to give myself that extra like luster as the, oh, I got some on my lashes, that's okay. Probably should have used a smaller finger in hindsight. That's a kind of big finger for my small little eyelids. This is just so pretty. I don't know why I went in with my finger. I literally in hindsight don't know why I went in with my finger, but that's fine. So I'm just taking a small like brush now to clean up some of my craziness. It's funny because like really you can see there's some of my lashes where like my finger touched my lashes, but there's none down here. There's like none on my face. You would expect this to have a ton of fallout. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't. That's like the craziest thing about these lid lusters. And they're like these like, they're pressed shadows or pressed pigments, I guess, but they're so creamy and just luxurious. Victoria Beckham Beauty, I swear, is just, she's killing it. She's killing it. Everything that I have tried from her line, I absolutely adore it. All right, for liner, I'm actually gonna go in. This is a new favorite. This is the Rock and Kohl liner from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Smoky Gray. It's just a nice charcoal gray. It is so beautiful, and it's crazy because now that I have been using this, I don't know why I didn't have like a gray shadow before. It is so flattering against my eyes. And I think if you have like blue eyes or even grayish eyes or eyes that are maybe like a cooler tone, you're really gonna like this. It's so beautiful, and it's really good for some, like also if you're fair, just because I feel like when you're fair, going in with like a black is really, I mean, it's an option, but should you? My personal opinion is no, but again, it's up to you. It's your life. You get to make your own decisions. But I just think this is so pretty, and it's like, I'll show you. Like it's soft enough that I'm comfortable putting it on my waterline, and I'm so picky about the shades that I put on my waterline. I will not put a black on my waterline. There are a lot of browns I won't put on my waterline. It's really like a liner by liner basis of what is allowed on my waterline and what is not. I'm gonna take a pencil brush and just kind of like smoke out that liner a little bit. I love Kohl liners. I love that you can smudge them, and then like once they're smudged and they've kind of dried down, they sit in place. I am so not a fan of liners that like go right on and then they're dry and there's no moving them, no doing nothing with them. Like that just doesn't work for my purposes, I guess you could say. I'm gonna take a pencil brush and just smoke out my lower lash line a little bit. I absolutely, again, I just feel like this is just like the softest, prettiest. I love this quad so much. I should stop talking while I do my lower lash line. It never works out well. I would love to take voice lessons, but I feel like in our current environment, that's probably gonna be a while before that can happen. I've heard that people take voice lessons online though. I learned that the other day. I saw someone say that they were taking voice lessons online. I was in like a, where was I? A Kate the Great live stream, which was like, if you ever want to hang out with me in a live chat somewhere, you can find me over there because I absolutely love her live streams. They just bring me joy. That's another new favorite. Another new and old favorite. I got some new spoolies. They're like glitter blue ones. I had not gotten new spoolies in a long time, and I saw these on Amazon. I was like, wow, I love that blue glitter. That's so pretty. And so I picked these up, or I didn't pick them up. someone who works from Amazon picked them up because I placed an online order. Another old favorite, this is the Lancome Definicik Mascara. If you've never heard me talk about this, this is my favorite mascara because I only do mascara on my bottom lashes. I have lash extensions, so I don't put mascara on them unless like something goes terribly wrong, but it doesn't generally happen. But because my lower lashes touch my upper lashes when I blink, I like to make sure that I use a water-based mascara. And this is my favorite water-based mascara that I've ever tried. It has the least amount of smudging of any water-based mascara that I have used in the past. So this is the one that I just tend to stick to. I always hate, this is a true story, I always hate the way that my mascara looks wet. I hate it. Once it dries, things look up and I, go in with a spoolie and make sure that everything is like, fanned out. But I just hate the way that wet mascara looks. It drives me nuts. I can't even look at it. I have to move on and like not look at it again until it dries. So we're gonna go back in with the Benefit Boi-ing concealer that we used under the eyes, and we're just gonna lighten up the middle of my face with this. This is, I don't know. I know at some point it'll be time that I have to let go of this technique, but that time is not right now, and it's not today. I love brightening the center of my face with concealer. I just feel like, this is so funny. This is a step that I feel like I do almost always. Like even if I'm doing like, like 5 product makeup, I still tend to do this. I just love the way that it looks so much. I'm gonna lightly set my face with powder. This is my favorite powder brush. It is the number, oh my gosh, 50 from Sephora. I can't remember if this is one of the ones they discontinued. If it is, I'm very sorry. And if it's not, it will be linked in the description box below, along with everything else that I'm using today. I love this brush because I can take it and just lightly tap powder on just to like lightly set my face. I have dry skin, so I, don't want like a very heavy layer of powder. Not that I think anyone needs a heavy layer of powder, because I think that like a heavy layer of powder hardly ever looks like a good idea. But I know like a lot of people with dry skin try to just like, they're comfortable just skipping any kind of setting powder at all. And I am, if I'm using like cream cheek products and things like that. But if I'm gonna use a powder cheek product, I like to have just that lightest little layer of setting powder down so that everything blends really evenly. And today I am gonna be using a powder blush. So yeah, let's get that going. So today for my bronzer and my cheek and my highlight, I'm gonna be using something that was a favorite of mine last year before I started my channel, and I haven't used it, I don't think, since February. So this is like an old favorite, like a year-old favorite. It is the Hourglass Ghost Edit Ambient Lighting Edit. This is last year's holiday collection from Hourglass. And it's funny because this year I thought about getting the sculpture one that's, this size, the 6-pan one. And the reason I ended up not getting the 6-pan one is because I was like, you know what? I literally bought the Ghost Edit last year, loved it, lived it for 3 months, and then never picked it up again. So I got the 4-pan one in the Sephora holiday sale. I just got the 4-pan one, and I, progress being made. So I'm gonna take the bronzer shade down here and I'm gonna bronze my face with this bad boy. And I'm actually gonna be using an Hourglass brush. This is a new favorite of mine. I recently picked this up because I wanted a more fluffy bronzing brush, like a high quality one. I've been weird about bronzing brushes lately. I haven't had, I don't know, I've been kind of not loving the ones that I normally reach for. I think because in the fall and winter I go more to powder bronzers. I swear, bronzer, blush, brush, it is so, I get so tongue-tied. I feel like I need to do some wrong burgundy warm-up lessons, like when he's like the Human Torch. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like I need to do that. Oh my God, I loved that movie when I was in high school. It was such a good movie. There was a kid in my youth group who, oh my gosh, he was 2 years older than me. He was one of my best friend's older brothers, and he wanted to do for like our church youth group talent show, he wanted to sing Afternoon Delight with a few of the other guys, and obviously that was not allowed because it's not appropriate for church, obviously. I'm gonna take the smaller side with the bronzer and just kind of like half contour, half just like warm up this nose area, just so I can like, you know, my nose is a little more like standing out from the rest of my face. This lighting is like, it's sad because it's an ugly gray day, which is kind of a bummer because I'm going to film my Dyson review next, which will actually come out before this video. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. So I'm gonna take Iridescent Rose, this one right here in the middle, and that is the blush that I am going to use today. I'm gonna take the same brush that I use for my bronzer. I'll just be a little more focused with it. This is just such a pretty shade. You just need a little bit of this. If you're as fair as I am, not that they don't sell this palette anymore, so I don't know why I'm explaining how to use it because they don't sell it anymore. But it's just a fair warning of like the Hourglass. I have found that generally in their palettes like this, where they have 6 shades, there's at least one blush that I have to be really like light-handed with just because I'm fair enough. And I think they try to like pick shades that, you know, work for, you know, multiple skin tones. So generally there's a shade, at least one shade in there that I have to be really light with, and in this palette this was the one. I love it. I think it's so beautiful, but I do have to go like very sparingly and build it up, or it can definitely be like too much color for me. I'm going back in over my nose because I just had like the worst itch, and now my nose is like bright red, and it's not from the blush, it's from me having to like scratch my nose. I hate when that happens, and it like always happens when I do my makeup. I think it's because my nose is literally irritated that there's makeup on it. It's like I don't want to breathe this in. Stop. For highlighter, I'm going to go in with this one. This is Iridescent Strobe. It is like the highlighter of the group, and it's such a nice like soft like light rosy champagne. It was just such a pretty color, and I absolutely love Hourglass Ambient light powders because they are, it's absolutely what it says. It's just like the most beautiful lit from within glow. It never looks like, you know, you've got like diamond dust all over your face or anything like that. It's just so flattering, just like an internal glow. Internal glow? You know what I mean. So for lips, I'm gonna do another like old favorite and a new favorite. So for the lipstick, I'm gonna go in with a new favorite. This is the shade Rose Stiletto from Yves Saint Laurent. And this is the Rouge Pure Couture Satin Finish lipstick. That's the formula. This is just, oh, I love this. I feel like this is like a deeper fall version of my, you all know what I'm gonna say, my very favorite lipstick ever, MAC Faux. I'm like annoyed with myself for saying it. Honestly, again, I judge everything by MAC Faux. Is this MAC Faux? No, not at all. But it's like a deeper fall version. You know what I'm saying? It's like that mid-tone, like neutral rose tone that I absolutely love. So this is what I'm gonna go in with for my lipstick. And I'm not gonna line. I'm just gonna, since this is a really nice new bullet, I'm just gonna like line my lips with it and then fill in. This is such a beautiful color, and I absolutely love the way that YSL lipsticks smell. It's just this very light skincare fragrance smell. It doesn't bother me or irk me or anything like that. It just is like so light and so nice. Just smells luxurious. And I am gonna go over it with a gloss. I don't know, I just feel like in a glossy mood. So even though this is a nice, like almost like shiny satin finish, I still wanna put a little bit of gloss on top of it. So I'm gonna use Fenty Fussy. This is an old favorite of mine. It's just a nice, pretty like pink shimmery lip gloss. It's so beautiful. This is like, I feel like everybody loves this shade. I'm not gonna put too much on it. I wanna go crazy. Fenty is another one that just, oh my God, their lip gloss smells so good. All right, now we're gonna finish this look up with one of my new favorites. This is the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist 4-in-1 Mist. I absolutely love this. I talked about it in my September favorites. It has the most just fantastic fine mist I have ever used. Like, This is so fine. I love it. When it comes to like setting sprays and things like that, I really care about like the actual like mechanism of the mist itself. I want it to be a nice fine mist. I don't want it to be uneven. I find like some misters are so uneven that you end up like with little like dots, you know, like where it's like it put out too much product and it looks funky on you. So I don't like that. Fix Plus does that to me on occasion. So I feel like honestly, to me, this is like Fix Plus, but just with a better mister. Ooh, I got a little bit of setting spray in my candle, and my candle did not like that. How beautiful are these earrings? I got these on Etsy forever ago and forgot about them. I just found them in my closet earlier today. All right, this is the finished look. I love it. That's to be expected because I literally used all favorite products. Let me know in the comments below, have you tried any of these products? Which are your favorites? I hope that you enjoyed this video. I thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, you take care of yourself. Bye.